Wow, that's a lot of Greek slurs, Russell. Welcome to The Downside. My name is Gianmarco Soresi. I'm here with my co-host, Russell Daniels. How you doing?
And I guess Greek bigot? I don't
Greek bigot?
Yeah.
Are there Greek slurs?
Yeah, are there?
I mean, what would, a shish kebab stick? What would you say to a feta junkie?
I've never heard any of these.
A tzatziki?
They're all food
they're
related.
not-
There's
all
nothing
food
about
related. What do you say about
popular.
These sound like just dishes on a
Greeks
menu.
are getting away with murder. They don't have any slurs.
I think the only but actually no. When Germany, when the whole Euro crisis was going down with the economy, that was our thing. That Greeks were lazy and didn't pay our taxes, which that's not wrong. I mean,
This is The Downside.
1, 2, 3. Downside.
You're listening to The Downside
The Downside.
with Gianmarco Soresi.
Welcome to The Downside. We are here with lazy tax avoider Gus Constantellis. I said that right?
yes, I am a lazy tax avoider. I mean, yes, you did say my last name right. The only person that can truly.
I'm very excited to have you. We knew each other from a bad start. You beat me in a comedy competition many years ago in a
How bad?
in a restaurant in New Jersey.
Oh.
To be fair, I was the bullet spot. Tough to win a competition as the bullet spot.
What does
was
that
the
what does
bullet
that mean?
spot.
What does that mean? What does that mean?
Wasn't I the bullet spot?
No, you're rewriting history. I was
Okay,
the bullet
maybe I
spot.
wasn't. Never mind. It was you. Maybe if you were, I remember. I was thinking about that on the way here, and I was like, I wonder if he remembers that.
How bad you beat him?
That's how petty comics are. We were both. That's all we thought about in terms of our relationship.
And Gianmarco had no idea who I was. Like at that point, like we hadn't really met, and so
Yeah.
I was like standing online to go to the bathroom, and he was like behind me, and like I was trying to be like, hey, but then he was like trying to cut the line, and I was like, I'm standing here.
Yeah.
And then
Well, for those of you just listening, Gus is 5'2", so you would have done the same.
that's the thing. You didn't notice me, and I knew that in that moment. I was like, this 6'4" motherfucker didn't even see me down here.
Oh, he doesn't see anyone.
No.
Listen, what is the bullet spot? Are you not recording?
No. This don't worry. This is the
Okay,
one that matters.
okay.
The bullet spot is you go first.
Oh,
And on a
okay.
competition,
So
it really sucks to go
no,
first.
for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, Sam Morrison once did a show. He did The Laughing Devil, and he got checks where they dropped the check like during the show, and he was so livid because it was like a cash prize spot.
Yes.
But like these competitions,
Yeah.
they're okay. But no, you won it. You
Do you
did
remember?
very well.
Do you remember how you beat him? What do you remember a specific joke
How do
that
you think
were like?
stand-up works? Do you think we're doing that like the same time?
No.
with a
Like,
volume meter?
I'm assuming is that like if
He
it's a
did it
competition.
because his charisma was better and his jokes were tighter. I mean, what do you want me to say? How many
I
ways do you
think
want to break this
specific
down?
Do you know what I genuinely?
Wait, it wasn't a roast. It wasn't like a.
No, it wasn't a roast. No. It was
Okay.
like-
Okay.
I
Roast
think
would've
what
smoked him.
genuinely did it was that I got up and it was Jersey, and it was like a Jersey sports bar, and
Yeah.
the first thing I said was, "Is anyone here gay?" And the silence was so deafening that I was like, "I'm not," and then like the whole crowd went nuts, and so I just had them from like 10 seconds in.
That
Yeah.
first line can do it.
Yeah.
That first line, if they get on your side like that much on the first line, it's over.
I did a
Yeah.
competition. It was a March Madness where you each had 1 minute back and forth and then applause. And I remember I went first in the round, and you never want to go first.
No.
And I was against Mike Feeney. I was early on into stand-up, and I did my joke, and it did well. And then he just went, ugh, I fucking hate this. Murdered. Because we had been there. It was a terrible show. So the audience like loved it, and it was over.
We ate this too. Yeah, we don't like it. Why are any of us here? Yeah.
Very excited to have you.
So excited to be here.
And we'll get to you in a bit. But a couple things to complain about. First, I am curious about this because Russell and I, there are two things that happened recently between us, where ways that were similar and ways that were dissimilar.
Okay.
And I figured we could discuss it.
Talk more.
First of all, the pictures from space that came out recently. I wrote. Do you see the new pictures from space? It's they're slightly more defined. When I see space, I'm filled with dread, existential angst. Nothing about space. I do not see like a beautiful ball of fire and go, wow, look at the beauty of God. We wouldn't even live long enough if we were teleported there. We'd be dead instantly.
Yeah.
How do you feel?
I feel all the things you're saying,
good.
but I also feel
that I quite enjoy it. Like there's a comfort in knowing that it's so big and so.
Are you one of these? You're comforted that everything you do is meaningless?
Yes.
See,
in some way,
that's the difference.
In some way, yes. I feel like when I see that, I'm like, oh, none of this really matters that much, and I like that. You know.
You see, I want to believe that my competition with Gus meant more than a fucking galaxy that we'll never even go to.
Gianmarco would love to believe that the memory that haunts him every night is somehow.
What about you? When you see the night sky, are you inspired? Do you have existential angst?
You know, I'm kind of over on this team over here because I think that there's a comfort to the meaninglessness of it, you know. And when I get really stressed out, it helps me. It really is the only thing that can really bring me down.
So beautiful.
It's so funny. It is but who cares?
What do you mean? Who cares?
Who cares? It's beautiful.
You don't ever see
It's
anything,
just
and you're like,
colors.
you feel nothing when you see beauty. Is that what you say?
I also just like Star Wars. Like, I don't know. It's kind of that.
See, I never even liked Star Wars, and I wonder if it's because of that.
My boyfriend's on your team. Space scares him. Like, he can't watch Gravity because he's like, a woman alone in space is a horrifying thing in and of itself. Like, I can't do it.
But a man is okay?
A man was fine. If it was George Clooney, but he died, so it's done. No, it's just like a person alone.
You see Space Odyssey 2001? Have you seen that movie?
I've never seen it.
Not.
So there's the robot Hal. It's just a red dot, very much like Alexa. Like we are headed towards this future, and the robot gets consciousness and revolts. And there's a scene where there's like an astronaut going into space, and Hal like cuts off the wire, and you see this astronaut just floating off into nothingness. And it is the scariest shit.
I don't like that.
Something else I know that we're different about is that I know we're going to fall on different sides of robot rights. I know that I'm going to be for robot rights and you're not. And I'm just saying, we've seen so many science fiction movies that have taught us that consciousness can be learned and figured out. And you're going to...
What do you mean
you're going to sound like a... You're going to sound
That's
like
saying
a
My Little Pony
homophobic...
taught us that horses can talk English. That's insane.
We can all learn consciousness. Listen, I'm just
Learn
saying...
consciousness
I'm just
is not
saying...
even
If they think they're conscious, then they're conscious. Like if
they're faking. They're programmed. Watch, you make a program.
Okay. I'm just saying you sound homophobic. You sound transphobic. You sound
What the
you're
fuck?
robot phobic. Whatever their term's
Robot-phobic.
gonna be is gonna be that term.
I'm
And
sure
just
there will be a
saying,
term.
You're gonna be on the wrong side of it. Listen, all of us can. I'm just saying we're all gonna sound like old conservatives when it's happening.
I agree.
But I think we shouldn't let them. Is what I'm saying.
Maybe
I'm
this
saying
is
we
the
should
show.
stop
We disagree
it now.
about things, and we have the guests say which.
Just the deal breaker here, and I'm fine with that. I will say I agree that you will be wrong when it comes to robot rights, but I also agree that robots shouldn't have rights.
Listen,
you.
here's
Like
what I'm saying.
I'm
we
like
should
the
stop
boomer.
it.
I have the boomer mentality of like, I'll do whatever you want, but not in my house. Like that's how I
Sure.
feel about
Listen,
it.
I feel that we should stop it before it gets to that thing. Like I'm saying, like,
It won't.
Like no, we won't, and we're gonna let them, and they're gonna be slaves. And what I'm saying is that's a bad idea because they will take over, and it's just gonna be. I think we need to stop it before we're in that position. Well, we won't. We could. The Earth could end before any of that happens, anyway. So, wow.
So you're Greek. You were born here, though, right?
I was born here. Yeah.
But your parents are first-generation immigrants? Is that the correct term?
No, they're immigrants.
immigrants.
I'm first
First-
generation
got it.
American, I think is how it goes.
And-
I could be wrong, but yeah.
I feel like I had a Greek voice teacher for a long time.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and she was an opera singer. So she was like a European socialite at some point in her life.
Maria Callas was your opera teacher, essentially.
Close,
Yeah.
close enough to Maria Callas.
Yeah.
Loved Maria Callas. And tell me if this is true. Her husband was born in a Greek village, and apparently, like their coming of age, he got a pig when he was born, and he grows up with the pig, and then like at 16, he has to kill the pig, and then they eat the pig. And that was his bar mitzvah, essentially.
So my family was not rich enough to own the pigs, so we didn't do that. But yeah, that is a thing that happens. My mom had my mom got really sick one time, like had the flu, and took some medication that made her all loopy, and she started screaming. She started like crying and being like, Sven, and I was like, who the. I just asked her at one point, I was like, who's Sven? And she goes, she tells me this insane story where she was like, we used to have this goat when we were on in our village named Sven, and he was my best friend. One time Sven got really sick and we had to kill Sven. But we were so poor that we had nothing to eat, so we had to eat my best friend Sven. And I remember just being like, I am 7 years old.
Yeah.
Please leave me alone. Just take a NyQuil, you know? Like, you'll be fine.
Oh.
So
It was horrifying, but yeah.
your mom told you this at 7?
Yeah.
So your mom, she's a straight shooter. She
Oh, a
doesn't-
straight shooter. Yeah. I mean, even speaking of existentialism, my dad had a heart attack like when I was a kid. And like, I remember one time he was like, I died for 10 minutes. And in those 10 minutes, I tell you, there is no God. There is no Jesus. There is nothing. You know, like space with the black. It's just that, nothing.
Oh.
And then they resuscitate me. And I was like, first of all, how do you even know the word resuscitate? But anyway, like,
and then he was like, "Happy 4th
You know-
birthday."
I literally had to be like, pass the ketchup. We're at dinner. Like, I'm 6 years old. I don't want to hear this.
Oh my God.
Oh my God! But
Not
you're-
a day goes by that I'll never think of that now.
Right?
That is
and then my mom was
that
super
is-
religious. So it was like this weird, like, I understood at a very early age that like religion meant community and not like
Yeah.
anything to believe in, just to be honest.
Really?
Because like when you have that, like even my dad, we'd drive by church and he would remind us, he'd be like, remember, it's nothing, but do your cross. And I'd be like, this is such a...
Your dad's like back in Roman times, it
Remember,
was
it's
called
nothing.
the memento mori guy, who was like, remember, you will die someday.
Yeah, like all the time. Yeah. He's had 3 heart attacks in his life.
I would love if the 4th one, forgive me, he sees something.
It is every 10 years. It's every 10 years. And we're coming on up. Right before my brother's wedding, he had his 3rd heart attack. And then at the wedding, he like gave a speech and he was like, when I died, and he like did this whole thing. He was like,
Did he tell the whole wedding? He's
he
like,
just-
when I die, there's nothing.
nothing.
He
So
told
enjoy
the
the
whole
love
thing.
now.
Yeah,
There's
literally,
nothing.
that was he guilt tripped the wedding speech.
Oh wow.
And he like literally like unbuttoned his shirt to be like, these are the scars I survived. And I was like, this is insane. And then we all cried. Like everyone at the
How
wedding
did he
cried.
connect it to the wedding? Did he bring it back at all? Or
He
was
was
he
like,
just
and this is why I love my son. You know, like it was his first, because my brother who got married was the first son. So he brought it back to like the first son. And then we all cried and formed a little circle on the dance floor. And all the wife's side of the family was like, this is insane.
Wow.
So, okay.
Yeah.
did you, because my parents, in terms of, I asked my mom when I was a kid, I said, do you think there's something when you die? And she said, there's got to be something better than this shit. So that was my mom. My dad, like very emotionally, was like, son, I know there's something that survives this world. And then I'll never forget, like when he had like surgery later in life, like it felt like the roles were reversed and it was my turn to lie to him. I was like, Dad, I know there's something that survives this world. And the cycle continues. Did you ever ask your parents? Did a dog ever die? Grandparent?
No, they were always honest about like death, people dying and things. But
But did they have any belief, or were they?
not really. They always said you can decide if you want to go to church, and like we were like, no, we don't want to go. You know, as kids. So
you became-
they went a little bit when my mom's parents were dying. Like my mom would go a little on her own.
But did they
not
ever?
much.
Did she ever say like, I think there's?
No.
I think mom's looking
sort
down
of.
on us?
No. Never would say like stuff.
So
like
you were a hardcore atheist when you were a little kid?
No, I wouldn't say atheist, but I think like I wasn't ever religious in any way. And like still I think there's something, but I don't really care or need to know what it is per se.
exactly
If that makes sense. Yeah.
Apatheist.
No.
You don't
It's
care
not-
if there's a God or not.
agnostic,
It's-
right?
Well, agnostic is you don't know, but apatheist is like, I don't even care.
I would say an apathy, right? Because there's something where it's like, yes, in my hardest times or in my best times, I think that there's something of a higher power that is keeping this afloat, or at least I like to believe in that to kind of make sure.
I'm a fideist where I believe in God because it feels good to do so.
Yes, that's kind of, you know, yeah.
And when I was younger, I used
Why
to be
not?
like, so you mean you're lying to yourself? And I was like, no. Like there's some way that's hard to explain it.
I
but
would say that it's more likely that there's like a bunch of gods. Like I like the idea of there
Sure.
being like the god of this and the god of that, because when we just putting all of our attention onto like one dude is like, that's the patriarchy. Like we're just like
Sure.
recycling like
Yeah.
the patriarch. Why is it one guy? Why like one guy create all of
Yeah.
this? Like why are you giving him that much power?
I don't really think
it could have
anyone's
been a
in
lot of
control,
people.
if I'm being honest. I don't
Yeah.
think anyone's in control of
I
it.
thought there could be a robot at the way top just testing us to see if we believe
That's
robots
true.
are
Could all be a
conscious.
simulation.
But that robot does not have rights.
So Do your mom and dad ever like? Does your mom ever? I'm always interested when someone is that like there's nothing.
Yeah.
And then do you think your mom does believe, or does
she's
she?
very religious. She goes like she's part of a church group. She goes every Sunday. She's the whole thing. She does like charity work with her church. It's the whole 9 yards.
Is Jesus important to her?
Yeah, it's very important to her.
Do you think she visualizes like meeting him and saying hello and seeing him in front of her? And does he have breath? Does it smell good? Does it smell bad? Does he have a dick? Would they have sex?
Would my mom?
Are these?
Fuck
I'm always
Jesus.
curious. I just think some people.
Why would-
if Jesus is a guy and he's also very good looking?
He's very
I don't know what he's
good-looking.
portrayed like in like Greek churches.
He's hot.
He's hot.
He's still hot. Yeah.
We've talked about this when he has a six pack. I'm like, what
It's
is
like
this?
6 pack
Someday
and hot.
we'll get
Yeah.
a fat Jesus. Someday.
Fat Jesus.
One day.
I love that with a cross just broken on the side. A reinforced cross.
He's falling out of the things, the nails.
There's like 4 nails in each hand because he keeps falling off.
Like a
Then my people will be represented.
like a
When we
straight
get a
man just
fat
putting
Jesus.
too much tape.
That would be an amazing like sect of Christianity.
Yeah.
And
Fat
like
Jesus.
instead of like instead of the wafer, it's a whole loaf.
Yeah, I mean, I actually don't have a problem with him being like skinny.
Can't walk
like,
on
so
water.
skinny.
He just right in.
I think it seems true if he was really skinny, like unhealthily skinny.
Yeah.
But
Well-
when the 6 pack, I'm like, there's no way.
If you go to museums, there's always like a phase where he looks like, a homeless guy.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, Jason Momoa starts playing him, and
Yeah.
you're like, "Are you in this for the right reason?"
Yeah.
Right.
It's like a Buddha statue with an 8-inch cock, and you're
Yeah.
like, "Wait a second,
Yeah.
Buddha." There you go.
Wait, I have a question. Well, I don't know if this might be. Did you? Okay, so Greece.
Just pause for a second.
Greece.
You made sure that you could ask a question. Then you said, "I don't know." What is it? Greece.
Okay, so did you watch Full House growing up?
Yeah.
You know that episode
With
where,
the wedding where you walk around. Yeah.
and what's
Help
his
me,
name?
what is
What's
this?
his name dies?
It's
Papui.
like Papui. They have like so John Stamos's like parents come and there is like a fake wedding in the episode and they show these like Greek wedding traditions.
John
And
Stamos
then-
is Greek in the
Yeah,
show, or
Yes,
Yes.
he plays Greek in the show. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Jesse Katsopoulos is
Yes.
the character's name. Yes,
And then
that really went. That was from the deep trenches of my
Incredible.
mind.
And then
Greek,
there's an old man named Papui, and
Which
he's
means
like-
grandpa in
he's-
Greek.
Okay, and then Michelle connects with him, and then he dies.
Yeah.
And it's like a death episode. Did you relate to that episode?
It was a weird, it's so funny. It was a weird, like, when people say, like, I never saw myself represented in television, it
Yeah.
was like one of like those episodes for me
Wow,
that I was
okay.
like, oh, I'm represented. That and like my Big Fat Greek Wedding.
Yeah.
And then that's
How was
kind of
that?
it.
How was? Because I remember my Big Fat Greek Wedding. Like that was the movie.
That
of
was
the,
big.
That was the rom-com
I've never seen
of
it.
the
but
2000s.
It was huge.
Yeah, I think it was pretty funny. Does
Yeah.
it hold up?
It does hold up. I
Okay.
watched it recently. It's I watched during the pandemic. It's very funny.
Okay.
They're doing a third one. I think they're filming it like right now in Greece.
The second one did not do well.
The second one was bad. It was
It was a late sequel too.
It was a 10 or 12 year after sequel.
It's strange they didn't capitalize on it right away.
Those kind of
No.
sequels, you got to be like, okay, guys, we're gonna do one callback. But instead, it's like 10. Like
It's,
it's just like the
an
Windex
hour and a
joke
half
the
of
bu-
callbacks.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's just it. But they did a show called My Big Fat Greek Life on CBS that only lasted 12 episodes because John Corbett didn't want to sign on to do a show.
Yeah.
So they replaced John Corbett with a different actor, and then kind of changed the names of the characters, but it was the same people. It was the same concept, really. But it didn't work because you didn't have John Corbett. It works
Yeah.
when it's the two people that were in the stupid movie.
Is that what sunk the Greek economy?
That's literally it. I mean, really. Well, it's funny because Greeks in Greece hate that movie. They're like, this is not
Do they?
relatable at all. It's very
Oh.
different. It's like, it's like Italian American Italian. Like, there's not really a lot of overlap at this point. Like, especially Nia Vardalos. Like, she's probably like second or third generation. And I'm not talking
Who's
shit
this?
about
That's-
her.
that's the
she was
lead
the
actor?
writer
Yeah.
and
Oh,
the
the
lead,
right-
and yeah.
Okay.
And she and the lead actress, and she, she's second or third generation, doesn't really speak Greek that well, and like it was like a Greek American movie, not like a Greek movie.
Yeah, there's like some Italians in Jersey that you're like
Exactly.
you're not at all connected to this thing
No.
anymore, but you're thing.
You
that
gabagool, like, no one in Italy is
They're like,
walking
they love
around
the
like that.
Sopranos, and
Yeah.
that's their definition of like being Italian.
Do
Right.
Greeks complain like Italians? There's a lot of Italians being like, this is what's the word? Italians feel like they're being God damn, with like Sopranos and The Godfather, they're being profiled or they're being like, it's offensive. Do Greeks complain about this as much as Italians?
No, the things they complain about are people saying gyro wrong because it's gyro.
Gyro.
Or tzatziki, they call it the yogurt sauce. Like, our thing is like, let's complain about people eating our foods and then bastardizing them. Do you know what I mean?
Now, you grew up in Queens?
Brooklyn.
Bay Ridge. Is this a Greek? Tell me a little bit about like
Bay
why
Ridge?
is Greek so much in New York? There's so many Grecians,
there is.
right?
Astoria is the big Greek. I think it's because it's the closest, because you got Greek Chicago. I mean, no, New York City, Chicago, and then I think like Tarpon Springs, Florida. Those are the three biggest Greek communities in the U.S. And then Toronto.
You headline most.
Pretty much, yeah. I literally can't walk around Tarpon Springs without like, no, I'm kidding.
Real? Are you?
Well, Chicago is pretty fun because like I did 2 shows in Chicago within 6 months of each other, and like each had like 450 people.
Wow.
So the Greeks are out and about. Gianmarco is looking at me like, I'm gonna kill this guy.
No, I'm thinking like Italian. Okay,
Yeah.
my Italian. I'll do an Italian mom, even though my mom's Jewish.
Yeah. You should.
I'll lean in.
It seems like there's more Italian than Greeks in the country.
There
it's
are,
like,
definitely.
So it's like less of a community. Like it's less of a. It seems like more of a. They can. I don't. Does that make sense?
Greeks also still do the church thing, so they still congregate, especially in the middle of the country. There's still like that church aspect that brings Greek communities together. Whereas like Italians kind of have like that's gone a little bit by the wayside,
Sure.
I would say.
But is your mom? Does she care about the Pope? Like when the new Pope was crowned,
Does not give a fuck about the Pope.
Doesn't give a fuck about the Pope.
No care about the Pope. Yeah,
but is Catholic.
No, because we're Greek Orthodox. We have a whole
Orthodox.
different
Greek Orthodox,
situation.
yeah.
Yeah.
Who's the head of this?
The archdiocese, I would say. Yeah.
In
Greece.
Greece.
Yeah.
Jesus.
I don't know what his deal is. I don't stay involved, but apparently he likes gays, so we're good.
Sure, like of age ones or
Of age ones. Well, and not. He is a priest after all.
I'm sure they all have the same problem.
Yeah, it's the same. Oh no, the guy who did my cousin's wedding, like 2 weeks after he officiated the wedding, like boom, went to jail.
Really?
For that, yeah. And it was crazy because like his whole speech at the wedding, he was like, "Oh, now that you're married, you're in the Greek church because she married someone non-Greek. Now you have to have kids, lots of kids, so many kids. I want to see more Greek children in this church."
Kids.
And I kept thinking like, why
is he talking about kids
It was
so
like
much?
13 minutes on kids. I was like, "Can we light this dude? Like, we gotta wrap it up here.
Oh,
We gotta head
God.
to the reception, bro." And then 2 weeks later was arrested, and I was like, "Well, yeah,
Oh, man.
that makes sense."
Yeah.
It will never cease to amaze me that there could be so many pedophiles and people still
Yeah.
would have a priest speak at the wedding, or that any priest would just talk about kids and you wouldn't go like, "Buddy, are you serious?"
Yeah.
He's talking about old people.
Yeah.
Old people, more old people.
More old people. Yeah, exactly.
So let's talk about your mom, because I do
you this Greek
portray your
mom.
mom. You consider portraying your mom.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
What's her name?
My mom's name is Julia.
You said 2 things just now.
Julia, and then
Julia?
in Greek it's Iulia.
Yulia.
Iulia.
Yulia.
Ioulia.
I have a friend named.
It's kind of, yeah.
I have a friend I went to college with. Her name's Connie, and there's a Family Guy in Greece. Like, not a Family Guy. What's the TV show with the couples? Modern Family.
Oh, yeah.
She's in the Greek Modern Family.
Oh,
I'm gonna
cool.
have her. Her father's like a famous Greek pop star. I have to look it up. So I
Oh,
can tell you.
really? Oh, you gotta tell me, 'cause I know all about
Metaxica is
that.
her name.
Okay.
I'll find his name. But sorry, I was thinking about. So your mom immigrated with your father?
They came kind of separately. So it was, my Uncle Nick came first in the 80s. My dad came with him. My parents were married at that point, and they had my brother. So my brother was about 2 years old when he came to America.
Okay.
And then my other brother, he was born here. They came in like 1984, my parents, which is kind of late for the game. And my mom, speaks no English.
And has never learned.
Never
Wow,
cared to learn.
that's
Now it's
amazing.
funny because back in the day it was more like I don't really want to / I have 3 kids. I don't have time to really learn this language. And we were so poor. It was not like a thing she was gonna go pay money to go learn. And then my dad learned English, so that was another crutch for her, having like a husband that spoke the language.
Sure, that's so you have to be so dependent. I mean,
Yes.
that's a lot of dependence.
And now it's interesting because now I've asked her and I'm like, "Do you regret not learning the language?" And she's like, "Oh yeah, I really do."
What did she learn now?
It's too late for that.
I thought that
Your brain is developed. It's not going to happen.
Well, I've always been terrible with language, awful memory. I think I have a degenerative disease, but They say when you get older to learn a language like helps, ward off.
Oh,
whatever.
really?
Yeah.
She should
I'm
learn
sure
it then.
it's tough.
She does regret it. She was like, and the thing is that the thing that she would said that was so funny was like, I just wish I could watch Netflix.
Oh.
She's like, there's all these American TV shows and movies that I hear about that I can never watch.
Yeah.
It'd be cool if they made like a program like with Netflix where like it taught you the language like while you were watching TV shows. Like it used the TV shows to teach you, just to entertain you. I tried Rosetta Stone twice, and I
I'm doing Spanish on Duolingo right now. I'm getting real good at it.
Really?
Yeah,
But
I
you
like
speak
Spanish.
Greek too.
I speak Greek.
Obviously.
I was really good. I did Spanish in college too, high school and college. So I got really good at it and then forgot it for the most part. And now I'm relearning it and it's great.
When did you learn English, or did you learn it just growing up?
It was both at the same time. So it was like, and there was times like where I couldn't speak English or couldn't speak Greek when I was a baby, like a young kid. Because like depending on the situation, I would just like get too shy or like freak out and then not speak whatever language they wanted me to speak.
Yeah, was school hard for you? I mean, like, were you...
So it wasn't hard for me, but my brother went to ESL the first few years
Oh, wow.
because the language. Because
I've done the ESL voiceover where you English as a second language.
Yes, yeah.
And you go like, the boy went to the store.
Yeah. I've done that for like Greek speaking too. It's kind of interesting. Yeah, for like Greek accent. And so, but my brother went to ESL for that reason because he was so entrenched in Greek that he just didn't really speak English very well or couldn't respond in English very well.
But what age were you smooth that you could just do both?
I would say like 8 or 9.
I guess that's later. It seems like such a waste of like the brain's potential to not have a child brought up with 2 languages.
Oh no, right. Because my niece and nephew now are learning Greek, Spanish, English at the same time. Because my sister-in-law is Cuban, and it's like hilarious because my mom is learning more Spanish than she knows English.
Oh my god.
She'll be like agua, leche, like she'll say all these like siéntate, and the kids like know it now because it's the only way that the kids know how to sit down. Is siéntate. And it's hilarious. It's just hilarious to watch.
Now, is your mom funny? Because I've seen videos. It seems like she's funny.
The funny one.
Like
she is the funny one. I went to South Carolina with my mom, and she started doing bits for me on the plane. And I was like, oh, okay. She did this like really funny story. And then later that night, we went to dinner with some people, and she told the same story, but she tweaked it.
Amazing.
And afterwards, she goes, you see, I fixed that part. It's funnier, right? And I go, oh, you know. And then like the next day she did the same story and like fixed it up a little more. And I was like, you know exactly what you're doing. You're a little stand-up writer.
Yeah.
Do you ever perform in Greek?
I don't do in Greek, but she has come to see me, even though she doesn't understand, and she's very fun.
Do you think you'll ever do stand-up in Greek? I mean,
Yeah,
you're
I
fluent
can.
in it.
I can.
Do something with your mom. You
Well,
know,
it's fun
Atsuko Akatsuka, she tours with her grandma.
Oh, right. It's interesting because going into the jokes, I'd have to just translate them, but they're not direct translations. You have to fix them.
Sure.
Sure. So, and I haven't done that work, and I would, but
there's like
I just
deeper
haven't.
things that I'm sure are hard to figure out. Just in terms of like, sometimes I'll be working on a joke and I'm like, oh yeah, put the funny word at the end. And it's just like with different languages, the syntax.
It's
sometimes
not.
the reveal would be earlier.
That's the
in
thing.
the sentence.
Yeah.
A lot of times is yes, the joke is at the beginning or the first half, and then the rest of it is not. So it
It goes
really
punchline setup.
It can go punchline setup, or it's set up punchline, keep talking. It's very different.
Wow.
And it's interesting to figure it out. And that's the thing is I'd love to go do stand up in Greek, but I'd have to like go do mics in Greek to figure out how to reframe my jokes a little bit.
Sure.
Is there a stand-up scene like in Greece? Like,
Yeah,
is there
there actually is. It started like after the pandemic, like right before, and like now it's starting to pick up. There's a club called Los Angeles Comedy Club in Athens. It's so funny.
And is it any English speaking there?
There's
or is it
one
just,
English speaking club.
What's that one called?
I don't know. But there's a few. There's like 3 or 4 clubs there now that I see.
I'm looking up this famous singer, who see if you know her, Connie Metaxica. Okay, so your mom, and did she ever work, or did she just raise you
No,
guys?
she was because my dad was a tailor growing up, and
in Greece first.
In Greece first, they learned that. It's funny, they worked at a clothing factory together. That's how they met, my parents. And my mom, they were working at a clothing factory, and my dad requested her favorite song on the radio, and played it in the middle of the factory for everyone to hear, and then asked her out in front of everybody.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's
like,
a big gesture.
Will you go have a
Jesus
drink
Christ.
with me?
My girlfriend and I would just move near each other, and we're watching TV shows, and eventually
I know.
started touching each other.
I know. Me and my boyfriend met at a glory hole. It is what it is. Life is different.
That's so
It's so
romantic.
sweet.
And they were young.
They were very young. In fact, they were so young, their parents didn't even want them to get married. And they went, my dad had to ask my grandpa's permission for them to get married. And he went to the village in the middle of nowhere. And my grandpa, I remember, pulled out a shotgun and cocked it and goes, "You want to marry my daughter?"
Oh my God. Wait, so what part of Greece is this?
Wait, hold up. Wait, let me get this straight. Your dad said, "I want to marry your daughter."
Yeah.
He got out a shotgun.
"You want to marry
Cocked
my
it.
daughter?" And then my dad was like, "Yeah, I want to marry your daughter."
Then did he shoot him?
And
or-
then no, and then that's it. Like he literally, they like went off to Athens. They like ran off to
He was
Athens
just saying.
and
He
got
was just
married.
saying, like, for real.
For real, you want
Because
to
if
do
you
this?
fuck this up,
Yeah, you will get fucked.
we're
Yeah.
already cocked.
Wow.
What a beautiful story.
What a beautiful story. And then they
What
moved
would
to
you
America.
do if you asked for someone's hand and the father did the shotgun?
I think I'd have a perfect excuse to not get married. I'd be like, sorry, I'm so anti-guns. Tova's dad is a gun guy, so
Oh,
he
really?
for sure.
Oh, is
but he'd
he?
just be doing it for fun. That's just if I was saying, how
Oh,
would you
yeah,
do it?
yeah.
He'd be cocking a gun too.
He'd be doing it with a smile on his face. It'd be nice.
Want to marry my daughter? That's great. Okay,
He's
cool.
just always cocking guns.
But that's it. And so my mom, when she moved to America, because of the language thing, she was cleaning houses for the most part.
Oh.
She would clean houses in the neighborhood, and then there was like a couple of Greek kids that had rich parents, and they hired my mom to like nanny for them. And it was
Okay.
good because the kids were able to learn Greek, and my mom was obviously a good caretaker, so it worked out. But that's what my mom did. So she never really worked, I would say, in like a job in an office or anything like that.
And so, does your dad have his own shop now?
Now he does. He got it like 10 years ago.
What is it called?
It's called John's and Mario's Tailors with my brother. My brother works
Your
there.
brother's
Oh.
Mario?
My brother's Mario.
And is Mario Italian? Mario's Greek?
Mario's a Greek name.
But it's spelled the same.
Mario, yeah.
But people must call him Mario all the time.
Yeah.
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 Mario. And did you ever think about becoming a tailor when you were younger? Or were you like, no, I'm not going to do this?
Absolutely not.
Can you
No.
sew a button? Can you do
I
anything?
can't do anything.
You can't even
it's
sew a button.
embarrassing. I know.
Do you go to school
I
for
can't
that
even
sort of
sew a
thing?
button. Don't bring this up. It's a sore subject.
Oh, wow. Do you go to school for that sort of thing, or is there like
he was like a tailor's apprentice, my
Okay.
dad in Greek, and then he learned the trade there, and then was able to like easily.
and then taught your
come-
brother?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, I got it here. Her name's Connie Metaxa. She's marrying Mario Kopotsis.
See, Mario.
Mario Kopotsis, the daughter of Lefteris Pantazis.
Opadazi. That guy is famous. Like
Wow.
Badazi is one of the biggest Greek stars
Connie
ever.
listens.
Get him on the
Yeah.
podcast.
Connie, please.
Yeah.
She said next time she's here.
Yeah,
She went to, I have to talk, because she went to my college for musical theater. I think it was one of those things in like Miami. She was, no one knows who her dad
Yeah.
is there.
Yeah.
But I think she was like,
What's the equivalent in America? Like, if you could give like an
I
American
would
equivalent.
say like, oh man, like not Springsteen, not Bon Jovi, but like
Jesus
God.
Christ. The
Not-
fact that those were the bars.
not quite there. I would say like maybe a Sting even.
That's a
God
Or, I
damn.
mean, I'm trying to think of a current example, right? And so, but like, yeah, he's big. He's very big, Badazi.
Wow. Well, we're going to have her on.
Yeah, he's big.
She was wild in college. She's the one I told you. She's someone she would go to Starbucks and order a coffee with 8 shots of espresso in it. That's
That's very Greek. Very Greek.
Is that a Greek? Yeah,
It's
yeah.
very Greek. Yeah.
Okay, so your family's here. How did you end up? So you do your mom a lot as a
Yes,
character.
I do.
Do you ever worry that you're gonna have to play your mom forever, or is that cool?
It's interesting because I do worry about that.
We have a lot. We are the generation. We're not the first comedians to deal with this, but because of social media, like we had Joe Dombrowski on, and he's a teacher, and he talks about teaching.
I love Joe.
Yeah, Joe's
He's
fantastic.
So funny.
And there's a whole slew of comedians who I think like found their niche,
Yeah.
and it was really promoted through the social medias. And it's the challenge of it is to then grow out, and can you get those fans, especially since, and I've heard you talk about it. You're gay.
Mm-hmm.
And you have an act where you talk about some stuff that I know you're not doing at these church shows
I know,
where you're
I'm
playing
not,
your mom.
yep.
And like the difference between you and like Tyler Perry who did like Medea, like he never talks about the fact that he's a gay man. But like your act does address it.
It does. And so funny because some churches request that I don't talk about my sexuality.
And how do you feel?
Depending
How
on-
do they phrase that? Do they just say that?
They either say like we need to keep it rated PG.
So there's like code.
There's
like,
code,
yeah.
and then if
But
it,
they're like PG, vagina and penis. That's fine.
Okay.
but then there was the one specific case I'm talking about. It was like it wasn't through me. It was like through my agent, my booking person, and so they had like a meeting, and then at the very end of the meeting, they were like, "We have a request," and like very explicitly asked.
Not to.
Yeah.
Now, in your mind, how do you feel about it when
So-
that's being requested? Like, what's your mindset?
As like someone that just has started to like go on tour and like has just found the niche, right? It's like, okay, fine, let me pick my battles. I'll do the show, I'll take the money, right? But at a certain point, I'm gonna be like, fuck you, absolutely not. Do you want me to perform at your church? Then I will be gay.
There's also the
It's
argument
also like
of
if you're okay with me cross-dressing, you're okay with me being gay.
sure.
That's how I feel about it.
Yeah.
And there's also the thing that any people who become your fans, if they follow you online,
It is what it is.
it is what it is.
Yeah, and there's a lot of people when I post anything that like veers off into gay territory or a little too gay, I will see like the amount of unfollows that day get a little more.
That's what I get when I post a picture of my girlfriend. So when they find out that I'm straight,
Really?
it's
Yeah.
the opposite
Yeah,
reaction.
yeah.
So funny.
That's hilarious. Yeah, I'll get that, or I'll get messages every once in a while from people, and it's like, whoop, there you go.
I love imagining old Greek men that really love when you play your mom, but then would be like, whoa, like
Yeah.
like offended. Like
That's
that you're,
literally
you know,
it, though.
like
It's hilarious. It's just
Yeah.
insane, but whatever. I mean, that's it.
How is Greece on gay rights?
They're getting better. It's not great. It's not great at all.
Is marriage legal? Gay marriage legal there?
You know, I don't know actually.
Yeah.
I think it is.
Uh-huh.
But it's not a great vibe, I would say.
Sure.
Can't be walking around like
even like it's not close
Like,
to American. There's
for
no
example,
TV
like-
show. I mean, they did Modern Family, so I imagine
there are
there's-
like just now gay people on TV recently.
Sure.
Like it's just started. Like that's just started, right?
But it's like that first wave of
Yes.
gay characters where it's the most flamboyant
It's
version.
very yeah, it is.
The least threatening version.
Yes,
yeah.
exactly.
Yes.
And there's not gay hosts of like late night or like early morning talk shows now and like those cooking shows. But like, for example, like my mom's village, like I can never go there with my boyfriend. That's never going to happen.
Really?
Like if my boyfriend wants to see that village, it's like
he has to go in disguise.
go
Like, away
drive
from
through
you.
by yourself, have fun, you know?
you could go with him and just,
Say it's my friend. Yeah, we just have to like, well, not now because now they know who he is through the videos. So it's kind of like,
And
but,
what do you think, in your mind, truly, like, what would happen? They'd say, get out?
well, here's the thing about my mom. So it's a very poor village. Like last summer, my mom was there and her friend got murdered in like cold blood, like right across the street from her in the middle of the night. It's not like a
For
safe,
what?
right,
like a
I think-
robbery? Or
It's not
like
like it was not a robbery. It was like a hit because like they knew he had money or like they knew he had something, so they like murdered him.
Oh my god.
It was like a whole thing.
Do you not want your mom to go back to visit this place anymore?
Well, she's gotta. It's her village. She's going to go there, but
mean,
she's
she's
like
gotta?
avoiding it this summer. She's like going
Yeah.
for like a very limited time this summer.
How poor? When you say a poor village, like, help me understand what that means.
Like there's one restaurant, and like the town square.
Greek food?
It's Greek food.
Sure, Greek restaurant,
I mean,
that's
the
nice.
guy that owns it like barely wears shoes. Like it's not. And then there's just fields. Like it's just like a few houses
Yeah.
and then fields. That's it. That's the
Wi-Fi?
whole village. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
At least it's Wi-Fi.
And in that restaurant, yeah.
And so, but if you went back with your boyfriend, would people go like, what the fuck?
I think that the concern would be that someone would kill us in the middle of the night. Yeah.
Oh my god.
To be perfectly frank, yeah.
What? Do you ever want to go there again? Why would you ever want to go there again?
Well, it's the village. I mean, when I go, to be honest, I go for like a day or two.
Where do
I
you
don't really
stay?
go. I stay in my mom has like our uncle or our aunt owns a house, and we have like a little studio that my mom has like renovated now that she stays in.
Yeah.
But now now that she goes, if she's alone, she sleeps at her friend's house.
Yeah.
So it's like right next door. But yeah, that's the concern. But I don't really stay there. I go to my dad's town, which is Aegyo. It's like the cutest fucking place in Greece. It's amazing. I love it.
yeah, I really want to go to Greece. That's
Yeah,
on
me
my
too.
It's great. It's
Yeah.
great.
Big
It's
to
really
do.
amazing.
Yeah.
and perform at Los Angeles.
Los Angeles.
Los Angeles. So what about with your parents? Were they cool when you came out?
My dad was super chill because my dad's
Because
a tailor.
he goes, son.
That is
gay,
nothing
straight,
anyway.
There's nothing.
That is nothing.
There's nothing to judge you.
Well, he He literally, because he worked as a tailor in like next to Bloomingdale's ever since he came to New York. And so he was like, I have gays in my store all the time.
Yeah.
They all like me because I'm cute. And so he was like all fun with the gays because they all were flirting with him when he was a tailor back in the day. So he was like, I'm cool with it. My mom, tears, years of like pain and suffering.
How old were you when you came
I
out?
was 20.
Wow.
21 when I came out to my mom, actually.
How old were you when you were like, I'm gay inside yourself?
I would say like 13.
13. So like you waited a long time to tell them.
7 years, yeah.
What made you go like it's time? Was it because you had a partner?
I think it was like, I'm in college, it's NYU, I'm sucking.
You went to NYU?
I went to NYU, yeah. I was like,
yeah.
I'm sucking dick now. I got to say
your minor.
something. Yeah, it is. It
You're
is.
like, she's going to see the diploma eventually.
At NYU? Duh. But I did my dad first a year before I did my mom.
Oh.
A full year.
And he didn't tell her?
No, he didn't say shit. And he
That's
goes
wild.
he
That's
goes-
a gigantic thing
I know.
to
Did you
not
tell him not to tell her, or you just knew he wouldn't?
No, he said, do not tell your mother yet
Wow.
because it's going to start World War III.
Okay, did she get mad that he knew, like, after the fact, did she get mad that he knew for a year?
No, I think. Well,
Or is this them finding out right now?
Partly it was that. Yeah, I don't know. I think that it was told that it was like a few months, not a full year. But all that to say is, yeah, she was a little upset by that. But
It's easy to keep a secret when she doesn't speak English. You know, they could say it
Yeah.
around.
yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, had any anal today, son? Yeah, it's
And your
easy
mom's
to
just
get away.
smiling like-
yeah, it's just very nice feta. You like feta cheese? You know, it is what it is.
Yeah.
But my dad was so chill, and he's like, "Don't tell your mother. I will try. Wait until I give you the go ahead, basically, because I'm gonna try to." And he said, "I've been trying to condition her for years."
He's just
Oh
putting
my
on
God.
Will and Grace in the background, like,
No, like literally, he was like, "Yeah, oh, these look at these very nice boys, yeah," and
Yeah.
like literally, he's like, "I've been trying to get her there for years, and I'm going to keep trying," because he was like, "I already know that you're gay, bro. You got to tell me now. I already fucking knew."
Man, that's really
He
funny
was like,
and
"You were
sweet. That's
he was
so
like, "You were
sweet.
dancing around to Britney Spears. Of course you were gay. Like, duh."
Yeah.
So that was what he was trying to do. But then I got impatient, and I just kind of like one morning got too cocky and said it, and then was like an hour late to class.
He's like,
'cause
I
she
did
was
not
sobbing.
give you the signal.
That's literally what he said to me. I call him. He goes, I was still living at
Three
home.
more months. Three more months. I would have fully
She had not seen
conditioned her.
Brokeback Mountain yet.
We were just getting there. He comes into my bedroom that night and he goes, "Why did you tell her? I was so close. I was so close. You ruined it." And he goes, "I'm not upset that you're gay. I'm upset that you didn't wait for me." And that was
that's
it.
so sweet.
It was
though,
sweet.
and,
Very
like,
sweet.
Yeah.
In a fucking point.
No, it's funny that he
Yeah.
was like trying to
Yeah.
lay the ground, like, you know.
Yeah.
And your mom was,
Livid.
she was mad.
She said, "You're going to get AIDS and die," I think was the direct quote. Which is pretty fucked. I mean, I was like, not at NYU.
Sure. At least that fear, I guess that fear is coming from love.
It is.
I don't want you to die, as
Yeah.
opposed to like, you'll go to hell.
Yeah.
Right. That's totally fair.
But she's like, because, I mean, obviously she can't see some of the things you're saying in your stand-up, but like, she's cool now. She's
so cool.
that's great.
Yeah, she's so cool now. She's like met my boyfriend. She's talked to him. She's had him over. She's very nice to him. Just totally normal.
Great.
And we actually had a conversation about it, and she was like, "Yeah, like it is what it is." Like it was very casual. It was recent. We actually talked about trans people, and because that's how we got into it. Like this was very recent. It was on the South Carolina trip I went with her, and she was like, "I just don't understand." Like why, but and I was like, yeah, but like they're just kind of like born in the wrong bodies,
Yeah.
and like they're just. And she was like, okay, I can understand that. I see some. She was like, I see some people where I'm like, yeah, you look better like a woman. And I was like, all right, that's
Your mom starts telling people, I think you're trans.
No,
I think you should be trans.
literally, we kind of ended up in this like, I don't see it for everybody, but there's some people, you know, they do the hair and everything, and I'm like, no, that's a woman. That's not a man. And then there's others where I'm like, no, that's a man. I'm like, all right, well, that's basically my mom saying trans lives matter. You know, it is what it is.
Yeah.
It's there.
She's like a sexist trans ally.
Yeah, it's not like the most woke thing, but
Yeah.
she's like, I can totally understand why that would. I can totally accept and understand why that would happen.
That's such a beautiful story.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's great.
And that's just one of the, I think it's just one of the obviously not everyone has a gay kid and like accepts it, but I think it is one of those ways that like conservative thinking does break down. As
Yes.
you love someone,
Yes.
they're a thing that you didn't approve of,
Right.
but your love for them ultimately wins out and
Right.
breaks down your thinking
Well,
patterns.
going back to Italians, my mom's, because my boyfriend's family, they kicked him out of the house when he came out.
What is it? He's Italian. He's Italian.
And my mom said to me, she's like, "Oh, no, I would never do that. Listen, I was upset, but I would never kick you out. You're still my son," she said. She's like, I don't like that the Italians kick them out. I've heard many Italians do that.
Now she's anti-Italian
Now-
from this one example.
So literally, like, loves trans people, but hates,
Hates
Italians.
Italians.
Like, so just so you know.
I think we do. We need some more complex things that
Yeah.
go together.
Yeah.
Now, so your boyfriend, are his parents immigrants?
No. They're
just-
like first or second generation.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Like old school Brooklyn.
Do you feel a connection with not just people whose parents are Greek immigrants, but like people whose parents are immigrants?
All immigrants, yeah.
What do you see in each?
It's the same. It's so interesting. I was talking to Osama Siddiqui about it.
I was about to bring up
And
Osama.
because he asked me, we were talking about like the immigrant jokes, and he was like, "Do you find in New York City when you do shows, if it's a super white American crowd, that you can't do your immigrant jokes or your Greek jokes?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he's like, "I have the same problem. Like, I can see the crowd's eyes glazing over."
Really?
And you just kind of move on. He's like, "I just shift to dating. I just shift to something else."
Sure.
I
Do you
go-
think it's because we can't like relate it? We don't get it?
I don't know what it is, but I can tell, like, even me, when I talk about my mom not speaking English, if crowds have had that experience, like if there's like Hispanic people in the crowd or like Asian people in the crowd,
Yeah.
they're like losing their shit laughing. And then if there's like an American table next to them, they're like, "Oh, I don't know what's going on. I don't know what this is." It's very strange. And then that's what Osama says. He's like, there's so much overlap between immigrant communities and then very little overlap between American and immigrant communities.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And even if you're just like a little ethnic, you can find the overlap. But if they're too American, you completely lose them.
Yeah.
And I get that note a lot. Like when I pitch stuff to networks or something that's like anything immigrant or anything like that, I can see if they're like too American, that they don't
Sure.
understand what the what the world appeal would be to that. And I'm like, you really have to realize that like immigrants in America is like not like a small niche thing. It's like a lot of
Yeah.
people.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
And
I mean,
just because you grew up in like Idaho and didn't have that experience doesn't mean it's not like a lot of people's
look at Sebastian
experiences.
Maniscalco.
Yeah.
It's like who I wouldn't again, like I was raised very little Italian, but like who would think that he would sell at Madison Square Garden 5 times over with like probably mostly Italians?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ultimately, any all-white audience is not going to be a great.
It's never a great audience.
No.
It's never.
Yeah.
Anything too American, too waspy, it's like they don't get me at all. There's just nothing. There's no overlap. I grew up poor and I grew up an immigrant, like
Sure.
with immigrant parents. There's very little overlap.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because I've gotten notes from like crowd members when I get off stage that are like, that is when. I've gotten this a lot of times where I'll get off stage and someone will be like, when you got on stage, it's not what I expected you to talk about. And I'm so thrilled because what I thought you were going to talk about was just like, my dick, and I'm so glad that it was just more refreshing. So you really surprised
must have
me.
just seen
is
me.
what I get. Yeah.
Let me. I guess this is the nuanced question, but being Greek, you're white.
Yes, I am.
But as like a Greek first generation immigrant, like it must be a complex identity thing of like you're white and you're people treat you as a white person, but you also like see like I guess American whites, like Caucasian. There must be a degree of, even as a Jew, there is a degree like when shit gets really bad, I go like, oh God, I'm a little separated from this.
Right. No, there's definitely that. I would consider myself, there's definitely Greeks that are like, well, we weren't considered white in the 80s, so then we're not white. And I'm like, shut the fuck up. You're white.
Yeah.
You've benefited from white privilege your whole life. Stop
Sure,
this, right?
sure.
So, but there is a complexity to it when it comes to traveling with my mom and my parents, because that's when it all gets revealed. Because it's like, yeah, we're white, but she doesn't speak English. So then immediately
Yeah.
there's like people like any like restaurants, any places we go, or anytime there's like, if there's like, anything that we have to like ask for, they treat her very poorly.
Sure.
And there's a total shift. And it's very interesting to watch it because it's like, I'll never have that problem, but she has had to have that issue her whole life.
Yeah.
So it's like, would I say that my mom has benefited from white privilege? Like, yeah, but not really like other places other than New York City.
Sure.
Because like even in LA, there was like this whole thing on the plane because like they bought the extra space tickets. The extra space tickets were in the emergency aisle. And this was right when you remember that guy got kicked out of the United flight.
Yes.
This was like a week after. And my parents were sitting there and they started asking like, "Are you equipped to deal with people in case of an emergency?" And my dad goes, "Well, she didn't speak English." And they were like, "Well, she can't sit there then." And he was like, "Why not? We paid for these seats. We paid extra for these seats because we want to sleep on the flight." And they were like, "Well, we don't care. You have to move because she doesn't speak English." And they were like,
"There's no way that's on when you purchase."
It's
these
like
tickets.
there's no way.
No
So
way.
then my parents were like, "I don't. Well, okay. Well, then where can we switch?" And no one on the plane wanted to volunteer their seats.
Yeah.
So they were like, "Okay, well, we have to escort you out." And my parents got like pissed, and they brought like cops onto the plane.
Insane. It's not like they're gonna. It's not like they're gonna need English.
Literally,
if
like
it's crashing, people are gonna be like, "Ah!"
I know.
Does your mom
Like,
understand screaming?
You think this 60-year-old Greek bitch is gonna
Yeah.
save any of them? She's jumping right off.
Yeah.
She's out. She's smoking a
I think
cigarette
as
on
long
the way
as she
down.
opens
Give me
the
a
door,
break.
I think all they have to do is open it, right? I mean that's it. That's all you're. Right?
Yeah,
Or
I
am
mean, I don't know
misunderstanding?
if this has ever happened successfully that someone's opened the
Wait, they were
emergency exit.
escorted off the plane?
No, they were about to be escorted off the plane because my dad. Here's the thing about my dad. My dad gets like really pissed in these situations
Well,
and
yeah,
starts
so,
like
I mean-
and starts screaming, but in his like cute little Greek accent. And so he's like, "I want to be on the plane!" Like he
Yeah.
starts losing it. So they got cops on and they were about to escort them out when two people like finally volunteered to like switch seats with them.
Oh my god.
Yeah. So you do have these things where it's like, yeah, we're
I'm
white.
sure people were filming too. And
Oh, I'm
like,
sure.
That could have been what airline?
This was JetBlue.
JetBlue. JetBlue. Not
JetBlue is
good.
gonna get
JetBlue.
fucked. But that's the thing is where you feel like, okay, I've had white privilege, but she's had to experience shit like that her whole life, my mom, dealing with it. And I experienced it a lot because I went with them to Boston and South Carolina. And it was a lot of like, you could see people like being fine and nice.
And then be like-
as soon as she doesn't speak the language, they get impatient and start losing it and
Yeah.
do exactly that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like,
That's
don't
so-
want to deal with it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, all right, fine.
Yeah. Do you wish your mom would learn English? Do you have any frustration?
I have frustration. I had frustration when I was a kid because I had to help her a lot.
Of course.
And even now, like, she has an eye problem right now. And I was, like, sitting at home working, and my dad called me, and he was like, "Hey, I have an emergency. Your mom has to go see the eye doctor, and I can't make it on time. So can you go to Bay Ridge right now and go to the doctor with her?" This was last Monday.
Yeah.
And I had to, like, stop everything and, like, run to Bay Ridge to go help my mom and translate for her.
Sure.
And, like, that is annoying, right?
And did you ever say like, "Mom, please learn a couple things"?
I tried. She just,
Yeah,
it just,
you can't get your parents to do
you
anything.
can't get your parents to do a single
get your
thing.
parents to do anything.
Never, ever, ever. They're stubborn. Greeks, they're stubborn. But I had to take her to the fucking doctor. A 30-year-old man taking his mom to the doctor. I was like, this is my future because my brothers are useless. They're not going to help them.
Sure. At least it wasn't like the gynecologist.
I have had to take her to the gynecologist. Yes, I have had to do that.
He didn't have
And
to
like the
perform
lung
it.
doctor.
He's not
I literally had
What
to
if I
go.
just say like, "Mom, put your legs here"?
No, I mean, I wasn't in
again,
the
I
room.
think it's
No, I sit in the
self-explanatory.
lobby.
She's
I
had
don't go to the
kids
room.
before.
I just sit in the lobby and I wait, and then whatever if there's anything wrong or anything, then the doctor just
Tells you.
Tells
I
me.
imagine she must have some like. There must be some Greek network. She must have some Greek.
She has some
doctors.
Greek doctors, but with her eye thing, for example, like they needed a specialist and they couldn't find a Greek, so they found someone else. It just
Sure.
depends on what
Yeah.
the situation is. Like her like general physician is a Greek guy, and that's easy.
Yeah.
Fine, but when you have these special cases, then we can't. We had to go to a lung doctor once because she smokes like a pack a day. We go to this lung doctor, and they had to do like the whole thing, and I had to be like, turn left, turn right. I go afterwards, and the doctor was like, "Listen, I really want to tell your mom that she's like gonna die, and her lungs are like really bad because she smokes so much, but they're clean as a whistle."
No way.
And I was like, "No way!" And she's like, "There's some blackness around, but nothing like to worry about. Like they're very, very, very healthy."
Wow.
And I was like, "Shut up!" And he was like, "I know, man. I'm pissed about it too. Don't worry."
Did you? You're 30. I'm 33. You're 45. But I was definitely of like the generation of like smoking is bad.
Yeah.
And I remember like I found in my dad's one of his drawers like a pack of cigarettes that I think he like snuck whenever I wasn't there when I was at my mom's.
Yeah.
And I remember like to me it was bad.
Yeah.
Was your mom smoking, or is it normal with other Greek people?
Oh, no, it was bad. Like, we were told not to smoke.
Yeah.
As she was smoking. Don't ever do this, is what she would say.
Sure.
As kids, like, no. And if we started, like, my brother started to smoke, and my other brother started to smoke, and she was, like, livid about it. And there was, like, fights about it. And it was such a weird, like, what? Like, why are you yelling at him not to smoke cigarettes? You literally smoke a pack a day. And she's like, that's me. I smoke a pack a day. I don't want you guys to die. Very strange, I know.
I want to smoke more. I always want to smoke more.
I smoke a cigarette with her every once in a while now.
That's fun.
I don't
smoke a cig with your mom?
I do.
That's nice.
And I don't smoke, but every once in a while, like, I'll see her and I'll be like, I want to smoke a cig with my mom.
Yeah.
It's an intimate conversational
yeah.
thing.
It is a nice.
It's nice.
It's like a I think it's if you can balance, if you do it once in a while, it's a nice little thing to do.
Yeah.
You feel like you transport to a different era. Because I think if I was doing it all the time, I would be. The romance of it goes away. You know,
Absolutely.
And it's just a dynamic. I think they say at least with men sometimes where like men talk in cars because there's something about like not looking at each other.
Oh,
it's like
yeah.
a hunting thing.
Yeah.
And with smoking, you're not looking at each
like-
other. I just think it changes. I think you get more vulnerable, more open. I went on a hike with a comic I didn't really know in Denver. And it's like just because we're both not looking at each other, I think it's less embarrassing to just talk. It doesn't feel as intimate, so you become more intimate.
You're doing something else.
Yeah.
I feel that.
That's
I
why
feel
people
that.
go to bars to watch sports.
Yes.
So they can just talk to each other, but they don't know how to outside of
Broadway shows. So you're 5'2".
Yes, I am.
Any downsides about it, or do you feel great about it?
I like it because I'm high energy. And it really fits my personality.
If you're
and
5'2" and low energy, forget about it. You are.
Yeah, you're done.
Forget
You
about
don't
it.
exist. And I barely exist. When I walk around, people walk into me all the time. I got to tell you.
Like I did at that competition.
Someone just yesterday literally walked straight into me and was like, I was standing. It was the only person on the sidewalk. I was standing and I was looking at my phone. I was in the middle of the sidewalk and someone, boom, walked right into me and said, I'm so sorry I didn't see you there. And I was like, I just pointed around and there's no one on the street and I go, how?
Yeah.
And she walked away.
Could have just left it. I'm so sorry. Didn't need to like
Didn't
throw in the.
see you
didn't,
there?
Didn't see you down there.
Yeah,
You know,
at
like
the
that
gym.
kind of thing.
At the gym with men. I completely disappear. People pick me up like I'm a dumbbell and just move me around at the gym. They're like, "Go over here. You don't belong here." It's chaos. Yeah.
Do you look for men that are taller than you?
Oh, I have no size. No, I don't
You have
care.
no size.
Yeah, I actually.
You dated shorter than you?
Well, I have dated. I have not dated shorter than me, but
yeah.
I've fucked shorter than me, Gianmarco.
Wow.
Well, so because I'm verse, so sometimes I like when a guy's shorter. To be honest.
Sure.
Yeah. So I can.
Is it hard to top?
It's hard
if the
to
guy's
top.
super,
Yeah.
do you have to put pillows under your knees?
No, I mean I kind of have to. At one point, no. There's a lot of
Oh,
guys.
yeah.
There's a lot of tall guys that are like, oh yeah, I love a short top, but that's very rare to find. And when I do find that, it's great.
Are
But
short people more often bottoms?
yeah, because you kind of have to be in a way.
Yeah.
People just assume I'm a bottom just because I'm 5'2", and it's like, yeah, and that's predominantly what I do. But like,
Do you feel like, what are you in the mood for percentage wise? Do you think if you
I
had your
would say
druthers?
70-30.
70-30, bottom 70.
Yeah.
Do you, when you have a partner and you're verse, you would want to have a partner who is also verse. You would be
Yes.
frustrated
Yes.
to be in a monogamous relationship with someone who just does one.
Yes.
Yeah.
That is funny. Have you ever been with a guy who's way too tall and you just like it couldn't?
I mean, yeah, I've had that issue. It's like really, you have to figure out the angles. Like there's angles and positions, and it's very difficult. I dated
in high school.
Difficult.
I dated someone who was 4'10",
Oh my God.
and I'm 6'3",
Yeah.
6'4", and I remember like spooning sex was not an option. It was just too tough. It
Yeah.
was just the angles didn't work out.
You just kind of have to.
69ing.
Missionary is like the only real way to go. And I mean, kind of in that way.
4'10".
4'10" is that's my mom's height.
Yes, legally.
Oh,
Do you
really?
like my mom?
Oh, wow.
Legally, she could qualify it as a little person. She could get a handicapped
Yeah.
thing if she wanted to.
Oh, interesting.
As could your mom.
Yeah. Wow. Oh, good to know. I'll get her one of those. That'll maybe help her with the language thing.
So, is your boyfriend right now taller or shorter?
Taller. but like 5'10". Not
How
too
long have you guys been dating? Can't be long.
3.5 years.
Wow.
Oh, we broke up and then we got back together.
Got it.
We did a whole thing.
See, that's what's up. When you said
we
this, I
did
was
the whole
like, I was like,
classic thing. Yeah.
I listened to a podcast. Gus was on Ashley Gavin's podcast. We're having gay sex, and when you said 3.5 years, I was like, has he heard that podcast? Because you fucked a lot of guys earlier this year.
You had a break.
We had a break. Yeah,
Okay.
we had a little bit of a break, and now we're back together. It's great.
Good.
Was the break
it's great.
good for the?
We're actually, yeah, it was actually really
Feel
good.
free. You don't have to.
No,
it's
been great. We're in couples therapy, which actually I really recommend.
I'm in couples therapy.
I love my couples therapist. In fact, I've now asked him if he could just be my regular therapist.
Really?
Yeah, as well.
No.
And we're
no, that's cheating.
We're having that conversation though. I think he's interested. We're talking this week about
cheating.
it.
That's cheating.
It is.
I said originally the joke I tell on stage is I wanted us for couples counseling. I wanted to use my therapist because he already knows what's wrong with her.
Yeah.
And but like that's the thing is it's like I believe deeply. Go get a different therapist.
But what if
I
his-
can't do this?
And
But what
that's
if his,
probably
what
what
if
he's
his
gonna say to
boyfriend
me.
goes too outside? So they're doing couples therapy
There's
and they're
just
both
too much. There's too much secret keeping
Okay.
because you should be able
Yes.
to tell your therapist things about your partner that you might not share for the reason you don't
Absolutely.
share certain
Oh
things.
yeah,
with
she might
human
forget.
beings.
She might bring it
Absolutely.
into thing.
Yeah,
and
Right.
Or
The last thing you want is to be in a couples therapy session and then me to turn to my current therapist and be like, it's like what we were talking about last week,
Yes.
you know?
Yeah.
Richard
Sure.
or whatever, you know?
Sure.
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
and then my boyfriend to be like, what?
Yeah, or
That would
like
be
your
the
boyfriend
worst.
says something and she gives you a look like, here he goes
Here he
again.
goes again.
Here he goes.
You
Yeah.
see?
You see that thing?
I think that's the thing with couples counseling is like the goal is to like what can you say to each other in
Yes.
this space. Of course, there's moments in a couples counseling where you want to be like, hey, can we break away for a second? Listen, what she's saying is, but the point is, you gotta put it out there as a couple.
Yes.
like that's the ultimate goal is function. What is this as a couple?
No, right. And that's, it's we call it like a building that is like earthquake proof is the metaphor that my therapist use. And you have to like make sure that you build it as an earthquake proof because a building, if an earthquake happens, sways instead of collapses. And that's what a relationship is. You have to make sure that your relationship is going to sway.
What if a tsunami comes?
I mean, the dude, I literally asked my therapist how he was feeling one day and he said peaceful and I wanted to leave right there and then. I was like, don't you fucking dare tell me that. Get out of my face.
Peaceful.
So it's a guy. It's a guy.
It's a guy, yeah.
It's a guy.
And he's a gay guy, which that's what's really helpful about it.
What I was just about to say is that like
Share,
he has
like
the
a
same way they
share
talk about, like-
poster in the room at all times, yeah.
Are you guys? Is it open or closed?
We are open currently.
Sure.
Yes.
Like I feel like if you were a therapist who mostly if you were a heterosexual therapist who mostly dealt with monogamous people, and then you had an open gay relationship, you'd be like, I don't know. I don't fucking know. This sounds like chaos.
He's very sex positive. So he's very like, everyone should be open. Everyone should be fucking things all the time. Like,
What's the therapist number?
I mean, he's great. And the couples therapy has been great because it really has like, listen, if you're going to consider this a long-term thing, then like, great, let's find some long-term solutions and like figure this out. And it's been great. I recommend couples therapy for everybody, even if you're not going through anything.
I agree. We talked about it. I say friendship therapy too. I think checking in with your friendships once in a while.
Yes.
Is a good.
Brother.
I agree.
And I also like I guess this is fucked up in a degree. This is a capitalist thing, but it's like when you're paying for something, you're like, let's dig in. Let's really do this.
Yeah.
Let's not waste time.
Yes.
We're paying, I think like $160 for an hour, and you're like, all right, let's fucking talk
Us
about
too.
it.
Do we have the same therapist?
No, my therapist says monogamy. My therapist is a strict Orthodox Jew. No. Oh my God, no. That'd be wild if I was like, I found the therapist and it's a Hasidic Jew, and I'm like, wait a second, this feels skewed towards a certain belief system.
That's hilarious.
All right, let's move on to our next segment.
This has gotta stop.
This has got to stop. Do you have a This has got to stop for us today?
Do you want to go first?
Normally we just do a guess, but I do
we
have
do the
one
guess?
that I
I
do.
can go.
No. I'll bring up one really quick because
Yeah.
I meant to do it at the beginning. It's what we talked about. So Viola Davis, and this isn't anything against
Viola Davis
Wait,
has
who
to
talked?
stop. You're right.
This what?
Did we talked about this?
We texted about this thing that she posted.
Oh, yeah.
So this is not like Viola Davis specific, but it's like actors of this level do shit like this. So she posted it was an Instagram post called "What Self-Gaslighting Looks Like," and it kind of good. That's our
Exactly.
reaction. That's everyone's reaction in the world. So again, like this is the question. It's called the Real Depression Project, and it's basically something about like, are you lying to yourself? Are you like, I don't know what it is. It's taking the term gaslighting and going like, do you feel sad sometimes? That's actually self-gaslighting. And what it feels like, and what we talked about, was it almost feels like a psyop, they call it. Like there's something about like, oh, you feeling sad? It's not because the rich are getting richer and you can't afford health insurance and the government's not taking care of you. You're self-gaslighting.
And it feels like a way that famous people like can get more likes from sad people that are feeling real sadness right now across the country, and B, it's like this weird thing where you're trying to tell us that we can never be sad and like it's always like, also then it's our fault. We're self-gaslighting.
Yeah,
it's not that there's any outside like things. It's just this.
Or it's all coming up with new terms.
It doesn't feel real. It doesn't feel like she's really feeling that.
Yeah,
it feels like someone made that, and
It feels like no one even fucking knows what the word gaslighting means anymore.
No,
Everyone on TikTok is like gaslighter, and it's like gaslight what? Like no one knows what this means anymore.
Yeah.
This has lost all meaning. You've said this word
really
so many
has
times
lost
it
all
has
meaning.
no meaning.
Yeah.
I think Jay it was in Jay Jordan's court and said something about he was being racist and homophobic, by which I mean he disagreed with me. Or there's something about like gaslighting has become just to mean lying or disagreeing or not like so
Yes, or just stating your opinion that may or may not be the other person's opposite opinion.
And this self-gaslighting is blaming yourself for not handling things better, criticizing yourself for being too sensitive or emotional, shaming yourself for being too needy. And let me tell you, the people who like read this and the people who actually are moved by this are people who are too needy. Who are people
I know.
who do
These
need
are
to
people that
criticize
suck,
themselves
yeah.
a little bit more. I know these people. They're justifying another's toxic behavior by taking responsibility for it yourself. Criticizing yourself for not getting over that traumatic incident already. Affirmations for those who gaslight themselves. So these are what we're going to start saying to ourselves now. My feelings are valid. I'm not too much. I'm enough. People who say to themselves,
But
I'm not
sometimes
too
we
much.
are too much, and
Yes.
that's fine. That's the thing
It's
is,
fine.
it's the thing of it's this kind of over like. I don't know. It just feels like it's a constant thing to let yourself off the hook always.
Yes.
And it feels like that. It's not. I'm not saying that you. I'm not saying there's things in there. Sure, there's
It's
things
this
in there. Sure,
over self-acceptance that I can't handle. Where it's like it's just the way, and it's like no, dude, like fix it. Like
And it does
actually
because it
criticize.
does nothing. It does nothing. So someone commented, and of course, it's another verified influencer, mental health, whatever type who goes like, thank you so much for sharing this. You shared it because it helped your likes and your PR agent told you it would be good. Thank you so much for sharing this. You're literally saving lives. You show me the person who's on the edge of the roof and goes like, you know what, before I jump, let me just see what Viola Davis posted today.
Yeah.
I mean, really.
I'm self-gaslighting.
self-gaslighting.
Let me get off the
Exactly.
bridge.
Yes.
Let me go pay my student loans back until I'm dead in the ground and pass it along to my children.
never ever be able to afford a house. No, it's just like this thing. It's.
I think a lot more. I think the issue is this lack of self-awareness that people have.
Yeah.
Of like, dude, you suck. You have to just acknowledge that you're like not a good person to fucking be better.
Yeah.
And no one does that. They're like, I'm just self-gaslighting. And it's like, no, you're actually just ruining people's lives and then pretending like it's like that I was negative today. It's like, no, asshole.
Yeah.
Also, it is okay to be. It's crazy to not be negative
Yes,
sometimes. It's
yes.
an insane thing to have to be positive
All
with,
the time.
with others and with yourself all the time.
Yes.
It's like there should be a balance. You need to be positive. You need to be negative. It's just like a thing of like it just takes away a
It's
feeling.
nothing.
It
At
takes
the end of
away.
If Viola Davis gave $5 to someone on the street, it would be more useful for the overall happiness of human beings than this.
I just don't believe.
Absolutely.
I think really what frustrates me. I just don't believe that's her.
Yes.
I don't believe that. I believe that is a PR. That is someone trying to make her, like more liked and more followed, and that's gross. And it feels like it's just trying to.
She was
distract
like at a
us.
steak dinner, like the best dinner of
Yeah.
her life, just like like fondling her Oscars, and then the PR agent is like, "Does this look good?" And she's like, "Yeah, whatever."
Yeah, I don't care.
Yeah.
Self-gaslighting, sure.
That's no.
Yeah.
For I have a this has got to stop if you want.
Yes,
yes, yes, yes, yes,
So
yes.
I have
This has got to stop.
I have a real fucking hot take right now,
Oh,
and
okay.
it is that okay. Well, first of all, I saw this ad on the MTA the other day, and it was like one of those recipes they do now. I don't know if you've seen those. They have like these quick recipes on the MTA where it's like it's like chicken soup, and you like and it's like the whole thing is like how to stretch your dollar, and it's like I don't want to know how to stretch my dollar. I want the government to figure it the fuck out. I don't need these government sponsored ads being like this is how you should
Yes.
shop, and it's like no bitch, like you should just provide more for
Yeah.
us.
Yeah.
Like what's going on? Maybe I'm a conservative now.
No.
But no, it's crazy.
No, that's a liberal. That's
It's-
the liberal thing. The
it's-
government needs to provide.
What the fuck are we doing? Like stretch your dollar? No, motherfucker. I'm not stretching my dollar. I need to make more money. That's what your fucking job is.
But that's why I think like I feel like in terms of like as I want people to be more of a socialist country, I think as opposed to like you need to, if I were to build an education system, I would like try to build a class where you really make people sensitive to what is propaganda.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
and to make them go like, oh, this
That's
is propaganda.
Yes.
To make me feel okay about my situation. It's the same as the self-gaslighting.
That's
It's the
why I
same
love
as, like,
growing
oh,
up in
this
New York
isn't-
City because I had teachers that did that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
what
that's
we
propaganda. That thing, stretching the dollar.
Propaganda-
Where you're
it
like,
felt
why
like
is this
propaganda.
on the MTA?
Why
too?
are we doing this?
You're like, this isn't a person I'm
The
asking
MTA that
financial
just
advice
raised
for.
the rates even though
Yeah.
they didn't get any better,
Fuck
and they're
you.
They're
arresting the churro lady
rather
who's
than
going to sell you
yeah.
a cheap,
rather than
delicious
make
treat.
their thing, they're trying to make us feel better that they're charging us more for the same
It's
fucking
fucking
shit.
bullshit.
You know, yeah.
But and in conjunction with this, my hot take, and this is a boomer take, is that I really personally believe that 20% tip is fucking egregious. That is a lot of money.
all right.
Listen.
We're gonna have to push. I'll push back in this one. Let's have this out.
I pay the 20%. I just purely believe that they should just pay the workers more.
I agree.
And I'm not going to not pay 20% because I know that I'm not going to fuck those workers over. And I understand that.
I see what you're saying.
But I'm
Yes.
saying
Okay,
that
too.
as a concept, 20% is a lot of fucking money,
We
bro.
are paying more
A fifth
for
of our
for the
bill?
businesses that are not willing to
Sure.
pay as much.
And it's not, I'm sorry, that 20% is not going to the worker for the most part. It's going into a
or
bucket.
especially there's like, they say with like Lyft or Uber got in trouble for that stuff where they weren't giving, or Grubhub or Uber Eats. But like tipping, they do this thing with tipping where you are like an asshole if you don't tip.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
there's a thing of like, why isn't DoorDash giving them more money?
Yeah.
I never.
These-
I mean, on Seamless, I really generally don't. I call the restaurants and I tip. That's how I tip.
And these
Because I know that money doesn't go to them.
Sure. And these companies are behemoths like Uber. Basically, Uber destroyed the taxi cab system. You had, I believe,
Destroyed
two
it.
cab drivers
Ruined
who
it.
shot themselves at the city hall squares, like at
Yeah.
the steps. And then all of a sudden, Uber goes bankrupt or whatever and
They-
starts upping their prices.
It was not a sustainable thing. They were
Yeah,
losing
and
money.
so now the cabs,
Yeah.
I take cabs sometimes. I take cabs a lot more
They're
now.
cheaper.
They're cheaper. And then meanwhile, you got fucking blood on their hands because they gamed the system and they fucked these people over for so long.
Yeah.
So I hear what you're saying. They tried once. There was a restaurant here that basically they raised their prices and said, you don't have to tip. We're now paying them a full wage. You don't have to tip, but the prices are higher. But just so you know, they're higher now, but you don't have to tip, so it actually works itself out. And people could not adjust to it.
Yeah.
They went, oh, this appetizer's insanely expensive.
Yeah.
Because emotionally, paying and then adding the tip later was more digestible.
It's so hard to change something
No,
for
that
people.
that's
So
all,
hard.
They
That's
have
all
such
fine and
little imagination.
that's
to
all
be like,
fine and dandy. But I just think a fifth of my bill going to someone that literally I see 3 times for 5 seconds is a little
Sure.
a lot. Like I would say like 10 to 15% and like pay the workers a living wage. Like it's like a liberal take
Sure.
on a boomer take is what I have. I understand and I pay, but I think it's a fucking ridiculous.
I think
to pay
tips.
20%.
I think tips is an insane. I
Because
remember
this 20% is a new thing. I feel like 2 years ago it was still 15 to 18%, and now they're like it's 20 to 22%, and it's like okay, at this point, don't give me my food, just sit and talk to me, and let's have a fucking chat, and I'll pay you the whole bill at the end.
there was some bit It was at that Louis C.K. set that leaked where he talked about like as a waiter comes back, after the waiter leaves, everyone's like a council, like, so what did we think of their job performance today? It's such a crazy.
Oh, I don't even care.
Crazy concept.
Even if I get the shittiest service in the world, I literally 20%. I don't give a fuck. I really don't care. I'm not gonna sit there and be like, meh. They had a hard day. Maybe their fucking girlfriend bitched them out about something. I don't really care. But 20% is a lot of money. Is all I'm saying.
I agree. Do you think because you have immigrant parents? I mean,
we don't tip in Greece.
Sure.
We don't do that.
Well, that's what's crazy.
That's a new
is
thing.
These people in Times Square, they deal with people from overseas who don't tip, and they bear the weight of it.
Well, we started tipping now. It's a new concept, and now but it's still like 10% only.
It's awful.
It's crazy.
It's all awful. Yeah. That's a good. Do you think you have, like, are your parents? Are immigrants
I'm gonna get
more
canceled
conservative?
For this. I'm gonna get straight up canceled.
No,
and
I
I'm like,
think
but whatever.
Yeah.
Like, take it out of
But
context.
what about like immigrants? I mean, especially Greek immigrants, and being more conservative than maybe one might. Like, are Greek immigrants more conservative?
Oh yeah, Greeks are big conservatives.
Do you think their conservatism like rubbed? Like, you're in a very liberal world. You went to NYU. You're a comedian. You're
New York
gay,
City. I grew up.
All these things, but like, do you think some of that thinking of having immigrant parents, like
100%?
Yeah.
Oh, 100%. And it's funny seeing my dad have like super socially liberal ideas and then still being like, no, but the government should not be fucking with my money.
Sure.
In the same breath, like, I want less government and I want not to pay taxes.
Yeah.
Like, that's the thing is Republicans need to really, if they just woke the fuck up and realize that like all immigrant communities are all kind of conservative because that's where they come from. The reason they left their countries is because they were too conservative. And then they came here and they're still kind of conservative.
Yeah.
They would be high rolling. Like, the only reason Trump lost the Muslim vote was because he started shitting on Arabs. And it's like, my friend is Egyptian. He's like, that motherfucker had Arabs in the bag until he started like saying anti-Muslim shit. And then they were like, bro, you lost us. Like, what are you talking about?
It's like, dude, we love everything you're saying.
Literally, we're on board until you started shitting on us for no reason.
It'd be amazing if he realized it and then became like fully the most. That's the thing. They really could clean up if
they could clean up if they realized that. Like, a lot of Cuban immigrants, that's the whole thing. Is like a lot of Cuban immigrants consider themselves white, and so they are very conservative.
I'm sure there's a lot of like strategic Republicans that don't believe it. They just want to win. And
Oh,
they're just
yeah.
like, fuck, I wish we could.
No, yeah. And then the Democrats are all pro-immigration, but then all the immigrants fucking hate them because they're like, I don't agree with anything you're saying.
Yeah.
You're all terrible.
Yeah.
Well, let's go into our final segment.
You better count your blessings.
You better count your blessing. Russell, you got a blessing for
I
us?
have two quick ones. One, I couldn't sleep last night, and I went on your YouTube page, and there was
Thank you.
lovely comments. I you had said that some of the downside episodes that we have video for like have a decent amount of views.
Yeah.
And it was surprising. And sometimes you click on the YouTube comments and you're like, why am I doing this to myself at 4 a.m.? But I clicked on it and lovely comments from people that listen to the downside. And I shared some with Gianmarco.
Russell
and
shared a lot that particularly highlighted him.
But it was very nice. And the other thing I was going to say
Wait,
is...
let me just read.
Gianmarco guy is kind of a load, but I love this Russell guy.
Yeah.
One of my favorite things about this podcast is Russell's laugh.
There we go.
This is with Jay McBride. I could watch I could watch you three talk for hours. This is your best podcast yet. And then one about our episode with Christopher, just about that we were talking about the trans experience, and that it felt like we weren't like being like, ooh, it's a wacky novelty, quote unquote, but they could tell we both gave a shit.
So it was just I was surprised at how, because usually you have such a low opinion of YouTube comments, and I was like, there's some lovely comments on there.
Well, you know what they say about criticism? Don't take the bad, take the good.
Take the good, yeah.
That's what they say.
Other thing I was gonna say is,
You know what I say about criticism? Don't take any of it.
Well, that was I was joking.
Just take the numbers.
Yeah.
Just take
Take the numbers. If it's doing well and it's liked, then that's it. That's all you need to worry about.
Yeah.
Now to me that's the immigrant mindset.
That is that's
Yes.
Were the numbers high?
It's the numbers. The numbers are high. If the numbers are low, that means it wasn't good. If the numbers are high, it means it did something.
Do these
for
comments
people.
pay the rent?
The comments don't pay the rent.
Every time I go to do a Greek accent, by the way, I'm not doing. I'm just going like.
you sound like
I
you're
couldn't
doing a
tell.
Trump
I couldn't
impression
tell
right
what
now.
you were trying to do, and I was like, "It's
It sounds
Greek.
like Trump.
It's Greek."
It's one of those things where I think like because it's like I'm not. There's a lot of accents I'm not allowed to do anymore. in this world, this modern,
and it's really
But
hurt
like
you.
when it's Greek or Italian, I'm
Greek.
like, I'm gonna go
Yeah.
just wild.
Tzatziki, yeah.
Tzatziki, whatever. Do you have a blessing for us, Gus?
I do. I just got off I got off 2 months of touring, and I had all these great shows, and they were really fun. And I'm really grateful for the meet and greets because it was really great. I had like an hour-long meet and greet after each show, and it was really fun to like meet people and like just have them I don't know, it was just nice because you found this like weird community and you affect these people's lives that you just don't even know sometimes, and it's like good to hear it face to face. And I appreciate every one of the people that came up to me at the meet and greets and said something about like, I appreciate that you're out in church. I appreciate that you talk about being gay, even though it might not get you numbers, especially with the Greeks. And I appreciate the dad that came up to me in Toledo that said that he has a trans kid and he doesn't know what to do because he really loves his kid, but he's scared about like what the church is going to think.
Wow.
And I had to just be like, you're a really great dad, and like give him a hug.
Yeah.
I'm like, I really think about him a lot, and I'm grateful for him.
That's
great.
sweet.
That's great.
It's worth all the COVID that was spread at those meet and greets.
100%.
I want to my blessing. Tova got back from London. She got me this cup. It says massive cunt on it. And my real blessing, though, is that Tova, in terms of the relationship, I'm like the more irresponsible one. I'm the messier one. And Tova had her. Maybe I talked this about on the last podcast too. Tova missed her flight by an entire day.
Oh yes, yeah.
Oh well, then I want to use it as my blessing again because
Great.
now I'm bringing it up every time I fuck something up. I go, Tova, you missed your flight to London by an entire day.
She just didn't know the day.
She thought it was
The next day.
July 5th, and it was like midday July 4th. She was like, "Oh my god, my flight's tonight," and I was like, "You can't get mad at me for 6 months." This is coming out August 9th. Anything you want to plug?
I'm going to be going on tour in September, so check out my dates on Instagram. I'm constantly Gus.
And is it mostly churches, or are you doing some comedy clubs too?
I'm doing some clubs, but mostly churches. Yeah.
Yeah. It's very cool. I mean, you get. I tell Tova all the time, I'd love to do a temple show.
You should definitely do it.
Because it would be a new challenge.
Yeah.
To come up with a lot of clean.
Yeah.
I mean, you must have to figure out.
I have a lot of clean material now.
Do you come up with the wig right out the gate? Do you put it on?
No, I do I do 45 minutes of stand up and then 30 to 40 as the mom.
Wow.
So it's like an hour and a half.
What kills? Does the mom kill the hardest?
It depends on the show. It's funny because some of the later ones, like it was the stand-up was really killing because I think I was fine-tuning all the clean jokes as the shows were going on, and so they were getting tighter and tighter each show. And then the Greek mom wasn't doing better than that, but it's usually the Greek mom stuff because it's all improvised, and so there's that element of like he's coming up with all of this on the fly, and that's fun. But yeah.
That'd be funny just if how you go to your killer bits like early if the set's going rough, like 2 minutes in you're like, okay, let me put on the wig.
Put on the wig. Yeah.
Or if it starts bombing and you try to go back to the stand-up, take
Oh,
off
I
the
know,
wig.
yeah. That's hilarious.
When you say goodnight, do you take off the wig and go like, goodbye everybody, or do you say like, bo, good night?
I rip the wig off and I
rip
do
the wig
like
off.
I do like a bo good night still. Yeah.
Is it connected to drag? Like when you think of drag queens, like
I'm not a drag queen.
Yeah.
Some people have said that it is technically drag, and technically it is drag, but it's not. It's not drag.
Sure.
Drag it's like an art form. I'm like I still have like a 5 o'clock shadow when I put that wig on. It's not drag.
Sure.
You know?
Yeah.
We got to get a drag queen on.
Yeah.
Okay, for me, what do we have coming up?
Okay, we have a live podcast episode of The Downside.
It is
with
this
Usama Siddiqui.
Sunday. Yes, with Usama Siddiqui.
6
unless
p.m.
he cancels, 6 p.m. to 7:30. And then there's the silver lining after that from 8 to 9:30. Both are $5. Check it out. We're getting more listeners. Tell your friends about the show.
Yes.
Tell your Greek friends about it. We already got Zarna, we got India covered, now we got Greece covered.
Mm-hmm.
We're getting the whole country. We're gonna take this
Yes.
international. You need to perform in Greece.
I'm not going this summer, but when I go next summer, I'm definitely going to.
And we're gonna
Yes.
Connie, if you're listening, get on this fucking show.
Yes, yeah.
We need those numbers.
And also next month, we will be in LA.
September
20th.
20th.
At Dynasty Typewriter, Uncle Function,
Uncle
Tuesday, September 20th.
And I will be headlining the Hollywood Improv the day after that, September 21st. So
Great.
come get a full load of us. And for those of you listening, again, tell your friends, subscribe, YouTube, come to the shows, and remember, you're not self-gaslighting. Maybe you just suck. This is The Downside.
1, 2, 3. Downside.